Tonight, Russia's defense ministry tells Ukraine it has until 5 a.m. Moscow time, that is 60 minutes from now, to surrender the besieged port city of Mariupol. The Russians adding that it will let residents and troops who lay down arms leave. We'll give you any more updates as they come throughout the hour. Evening, everyone, and welcome to The Next Revolution, live from New York tonight, with a shocking story from the war on our southern border, how we need to tackle the threat from China, and the scandal of Joe Biden's corruption and how it was covered up by the media and big tech in the 2020 election. But we start tonight with the question so many Americans are asking. Are we being dragged into a war with Russia? What should America's role be in the horror that's unfolding in Ukraine? None of this is easy. There are no definitive right answers. It's about judgment and balancing different risks. So we must be able to disagree without questioning each other's motives. If you're skeptical about America getting involved, you're not a Russian asset or a Putin propagandist. And if you think we should be involved, that doesn't make you a neocon globalist warmonger. We've got to get away from this dumb tribalism and treat each other with good faith. Here's how I see it. When people say we should be focused on our problems at home, I completely agree. That is the first responsibility of government. But I don't think anyone is seriously arguing that America should just not have a foreign policy, ignore it when a nuclear power brutally invades another country. The question is, what response is in our interests? People say our leaders shouldn't send other people's kids to die in wars where American interests aren't clear. I couldn't agree more. And it was a recent example of that which makes so many Americans suspicious of what's going on now. America's leaders did send other people's kids to die in a war where America's interests weren't clear. They invaded Iraq, manufactured the justification, lied about the threat to America, corruptly enriched themselves on the back of it all. But does that one terrible example mean America should avoid any foreign conflict? Should we really have let bin Laden and al-Qaeda go unpunished for 9/11? That was why we went to war in Afghanistan. Yes, it went on 19 years too long, but at the start, it was totally justified. Going back further, Hitler never attacked America, but does anyone seriously think it was wrong to fight and defeat him? Surely that's one of the proudest moments in America's history. And it helped lay the foundation for decades of American leadership and prosperity. What about the Cold War? Was it wrong for Reagan to fight the evil empire, as he called it? It wasn't just his military build-up at home. Reagan took the fight to the Soviets. He armed the Afghan resistance, so the Russian army was stuck in a quagmire for a decade. That led directly to the fall of the Soviet Union and the defeat of communism. Was Reagan wrong to do all that? What about the Gulf War? Kicking Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. Remember storming Norman Schwarzkopf? We were proud of that, weren't we? It was actually Margaret Thatcher who pushed President Bush to do it. Was she wrong? Should a dictator's aggression have been allowed to stand? I just can't believe most Americans really want to disown so much of America's freedom-fighting history. America was born out of the fight for freedom and independence. And America has become the greatest nation in the history of the world, in large part because America has led the world and stood up for freedom and independence when they're threatened. It was George W. Bush's Iraq War that was out of step with that history, like Obama's appeasement of Putin when he invaded Crimea in 2014, and Obama's appeasement of Syrian dictator Assad when he used chemical weapons. Trump didn't make that mistake. He hit Assad hard when he used chemical weapons, and it didn't happen again. Trump defeated ISIS, took out Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, the al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. Trump wasn't an isolationist. He projected American force around the world, built up our military after years of decline. America first didn't mean America isolated, staying at home. America first meant America leading, but in smart ways, not stupid ones, getting results and then getting out. That is totally different from the neocon ideology, the delusional, messianic attempt to remake the world according to some master plan written in a Washington, D.C. think tank. That's not what we're talking about now with Ukraine and Russia. This is about confronting aggression. We know how important that is right here at home. We can see what happens when we don't confront crime. We get more crime. If we react to Putin like some Soros-backed DA, seeing it from the criminal's point of view, going easy on them in the hope they'll just quietly go away, it is hopeless. It just incentivizes more violence. And some people might say, well, maybe that's true. If we stay out of this war, encourage a peace deal where Putin gets what he wants, maybe that will incentivize Putin to invade some other country or some other dictator to do the same. But as long as they're not invading America, why should we care? We should care because at that point what you're looking at is a completely lawless world where rogue regimes do whatever they want, especially if they have nuclear weapons, which obviously more countries will try and get, so they can join in the nuclear blackmail. That's bad for America, just as a lawless city is bad for the people who live there. One of the reasons America is the world's leading nation is because America leads. We have the world's highest living standards because we've shaped the rules the world lives by. If we let all of that break down, if we just hand it over to authoritarian dictatorships like Russia and China, we'll end up poorer as well as less secure. No sane person wants war, but unlike the Iraq war, we didn't start this one. Putin did. He started it because he sensed American weakness after Trump left office. Biden lifting sanctions on the Nord Stream pipeline, killing the Keystone pipeline, cutting defense spending, the surrender to the Taliban, all that on top of the weakness Putin saw from Biden and Obama the last time he invaded Ukraine in 2014. Instead of Trump's peace through strength, we got war through weakness. But now we're here. Surely we need to make sure America wins. Because if Putin wins, his ally Xi Jinping wins. And as we've said many times, China is the real threat to our country's future. None of this means we need to send young Americans to die in Ukraine. Of course not. In fact, if we had a smart leader in the White House, instead of a feeble old fool who's never led on anything in his life, we would be fighting Putin in ways that actually help America. Most obviously, of course, by unleashing our energy industry. So that's what we're arguing for here. Strong, smart leadership that stands up for freedom, independence and self-determination, and strengthens our economy and our global standing in the process. I would really love to know what you think. I really mean that. Please follow us at Steve Hilton X and at NextRevFNC. Share this message and tell us what you think.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.